Hey everybody, and welcome back to week 3 of our Flexibility for the Inflexible Challenge. Today we're going to be going back through our toe touch sequence. And today we're actually going to go through the same flow as we did last time, but I want to introduce 3 ideas. And some of them you've kind of already heard me talking about, but these are 3 movements you can do to supercharge any stretch. The first one is focus on those deep controlled breaths. In through the nose, out through the nose if you can. That can help teach the brain that, hey, I'm safer here, right? I've got control. The second one is going to be what we call like a nod or a head movement. So either rotational or up and down. Adding these to any movement can feed more information into your inner ear, into your balance system, which again helps map that area. And then the third one is adding a reach from any position. So reaching into different directions shifts your weight, also makes you more aware of your surroundings. Again, mapping that position, that area a little better, feeding lots of movement information and nutrition to the brain, which hopefully, which we'll see, helps us create a better, more functional position. So I'm going to start off with my test retest. I just did the Academy 3B workout for Nerd Fitness Prime yesterday, and my hamstrings are destroyed. So we will see if I have any range of motion left today. Remember, I want to go feet all the way together, knees completely straight. This makes sure that my toe touch is always the same each time I go down into it. And actually it's sore, but I'm still getting, further than where we started on this process. So that's going to be my test retest. Hopefully my hamstrings start to feel better and it feels like a easier time getting out of the position by the time we're done. All right, so here we go. For equipment today, really all we need is a mat for your knee, a towel or a band, a weight if you really want to add a weight to the Jefferson curl. Otherwise, we're going to be good to go. So here we go. First one.
3, 2, 1.
Is our band leg lower down. Now we talked, if you have trouble with your hamstrings, tilting that pelvis back can make a world of difference. So if you use a mat for that, we're going to grab a towel. If your legs are super long and you can't extend your leg fully with the towel there, go ahead and support the towel at a different point around the knee. And then we're going to go up and down with the other side. Now, how can I add breathing? We know. How can I add a nod or a reach? Nod, tuck the chin, roll up. Relax the chin, roll back. Tuck the chin, roll up. Relax the chin, roll back. I could also go side to side. If I want to add a reach, I could reach for the opposite side. As I'm going, I could reach to the side, or even you could think of reaching with your foot in different positions. Imagine your foot is almost a hand. So I could try different angles here. Again, I'm just trying to map that area more. Pay attention to how I'm feeling. Now, I'm still feeling super stiff and tight in those hamstrings. Now, one common misconception, if you're sore and tight from a workout, that means there's muscle fiber damage, which is normal. That's a normal part of the process. But stretching isn't necessarily going to speed that process. It might help you get a little bit more function. But really what you need is just to increase blood flow to that area and give and sleep and rest and walk and anything that kind of increases blood flow without putting more stress on those muscle fibers. So I am not expecting, by the time I am done today, to magically have hamstrings that are not sore anymore, since I know I worked out hard. But hopefully I feel a little bit better and get some blood flow in the area. So I'm doing my nods, tucking the chin, rolling up. Key thing if you're gonna do this chin tuck and roll up is to make sure the chin drops down to the chest first and then rolls up, rather than the head coming out. Tuck the chin, then roll up. Do a couple from this position. Go side to side. Do different reaches. The foot, different reaches. The opposite hand. Woo! Starting to get lit up now. Again, you don't have to go as fast as I'm going. You can go slow, you can take breaks. We always want to respect where your body's at, wherever it's at. And if you don't have a towel to roll the hips back, you can do this without that too. Okay.
Rest.
There we go. Next up is our Jefferson curl. So again, this is essentially a body weight toe touch, like what we did in the beginning. Feet together, legs locked out, but I'm gonna go really slow. Chin to the chest, nose to the chest, forehead to the chest, and then slowly rolling down. Chest to the belly button to the hips, hips to the thigh. You can kind of think about all those different positions, and then I'm going to stand back up with control. Sometimes, I've mentioned in the past, if you have a light weight, which of course I don't have right now, but if you have a light weight and you want to hold on to it, there's another tripod, then that can help. But if you do that, you want to keep the weight tight to your body. You don't want to have it out here hanging. Keep it tight to the body as you reach, and if you can already reach the floor, you might need to stand up on something in order to be reached past that. Common rule of thumb, if it feels sketchy, it is sketchy, so don't do it. So if that standing position doesn't feel good, we could always do something similar, really slow and controlled from the ground. Trying to make little waves through my spine. And then how can we add the breathing? Well, breathing. Just taking nice deep breaths and exhaling once I'm down here. I could try nods by reaching the head side to side, up and down. I could try reaches across or out, different angles. Obviously, I want to do the reaches if you have weight, just like we were saying, we want to keep any additional weight tight to the body. Opening up a little bit already, which feels good. In some of these movements, it'll be easier to add. Like this one's much easier at breathing than it is to add a nod or a reach. And that's okay. Those are the three things you can kind of think of experimenting with. Okay, next up we're going to go into hamstring variation. So if you need to sit on a chair, you can do this from the chair if you remember. We will sit, have one leg extended, and then do this movement, or we can do it from the ground. And the idea is I'm going to get into that straight position, get tall, breathe in, and then I want to push my hips back just as far as I'll go. It's usually a pretty short movement,
Hamstring variation.
and I'm pulsing here just into that end range of motion. Breathing, exhaling, trying to get nice and tall through the front of this hip, down, up, trying to let the movements come from the hip. So how could I add nods? I could go chin down, eyes up. I could go rotation in these different positions. Again, I'm just trying to create more variability, feed more information to the brain about my position, my body position. Since we're visually dominant creatures, the head position and looking different places can really help, as can adding different reaches. Still trying to keep that base movement the same, even if I'm adding in these other pieces. This one I really like how the nods feel personally. So I think I'm going to stick with that. That one felt like I'm really getting into it. In the beginning, it was so stiff. And as I got done with it, again, that muscle soreness is still there, but it just feels like
Hamstring variation.
it just moves better. If you remember from one of our previous videos, I talked about one way you can change these movements. If you point the toes, that's going to take pressure off the back of the leg. So if you're having a really hard time getting into a position, you can start by pointing the toes. And then pulling the toes in is going to emphasize the back of the leg more. So those are two ways you can immediately modify something. That one felt good. So I'm going to go back to that side. Again, we're taking these base level positions, these movements that we hope you guys are getting more and more familiar with now and feeling good with. And we are adding an element of exploration and play, novelty, because those are things the brain pays attention to. The brain is always very interested in new and novel experiences and trying to map those out. And we want to try to break the cycle of inflexibility, which we know that a lot of that inflexibility with whatever you have within the structure of your body, a lot of that flexibility is regulated by the brain and how much room it gives you to work with. So if we can find these different positions, explore new things, you might find big differences happening over time, which is the goal. All right, next up, going into our quad stretch. So I think I've mentioned this a couple times about setting the position. So setting the position for this quad stretch is tuck the hips under, drop the rib cage down. Then if I grab my foot and pull back, that's where I'm going to get the stretch from. But I want to try to maintain this braced core in that initial position. So we can do it from standing. We can do it from the floor with the back foot hooked up on a couch or a table or a sofa. Or we can even go, I think I showed this last time, knee into the corner of the wall and then stepping out. This is level 6, right, of that stretch. And that can be a lot more intense. So if your knee bothers you, I recommend starting with that standing position, but then you can think, we're breathing here. You can, again, easily add the nods, up, down, and sideways, which gives different positions. And I can add reaches. And reaches challenge your balance more. Oh my God. Yeah. But they're also going to make you more stable and strong here too. As much as you can. Again, whenever you add reach or nods or shifting, you want to still try to maintain that foundational position as much as you can, but there will be weight shifts. You might feel a hip shoot out if you're doing big reaches because your body's going to naturally counterbalance, and that's okay. We're just trying to maintain as much of that original position as we can. This is why we save this stuff for week 3 to introduce more fully, because we want you guys to feel comfortable in those base positions first, and then we can move from there. Another thing I like to pay attention to with my nods is I try to let the eyes lead. Look where I want to go, not be like robot, turn. Look where I want to go, and then follow. Yeah, see, it's okay to lose balance a little bit. The way I think about it is if I'm able to, your brain is going to learn a lot It's going to improve balance and stability and strength, which can improve mobility and flexibility. If it's making small mistakes and able to learn from it. Whew.
Rest.
All right, you guys are doing awesome. Hopefully you're enjoying this so far. Hitting our calves for our last piece. So we did calf races. You can do this feet together. Then we're gonna go, that's level 1. That's the thing I would start with. Then if you want to, we can go feet together, then toes out, then toes in. We wanna make sure we're still pressing through the ball of our big toe and our pinky toe if we're doing that. And then we're gonna do a stretch after that. If you wanna go off the edge of something,
Calf raises 3 ways.
like the edge of a step, that's gonna give you more range of motion and increase the stretch effect of this as well. So again, here I can work on, when I go up, maybe I'll look up, go down, look down, or look over my shoulder. And feel all these slight shifts in your balance point. And maybe add a reach up, or a reach to the side. Can't really reach this side, unless I want to punch my hand through the glass. I really hope that you guys, toes in. Really hope that you guys enjoy this sequence as much as I do and have, and that you're getting something out of it. Learning more about philosophy around, I guess my philosophy around flexibility and how you can improve long term to feel better. If you want more of this type of content, it's awesome and super helpful to one, watch the videos, because then we know like people like watching them, and two, leave us feedback. We love hearing feedback about what we can do better, about things that you're interested in. And toes out if you haven't. I got distracted there. I'm gonna work a little bit into my rest period, doing some toes out. Okay. Then the last one is our calf stretch. So for the calf stretch, we can do a standing one where I'm straightening this back leg, driving the heel to the ground, reaching my hip to the wall in front for the first part, and then bend the knee forward for the second part. So we hit those 2 different parts of the calf. Or we've been experimenting with this adductor ankle position where I'm hitting groin and ankle at the same time a little bit.
1/2
The
kneeling
further
adductor
out
ankle
this
lock.
foot is, the more it's groin focused, the closer in this foot is, the more it's ankle focused by putting my weight behind it a little bit more. And again, I could easily from this position add reaches either direction. Still maintaining my base and my setup. If you're not sure where to reach, a couple of things. Give yourself a target. You can set up shoes, balloons that you're trying to reach for around you, socks, get some rolls of socks. You can set them up in the cardinal compass positions, or you can set them up like an 8-point star. If you're up here, you can do the same thing. You can add those nods pretty easily. Always think about breathing, or we can even add reaches. Still driving that knee forward, so I'm still getting that stretch, but adding some new components to that as we map out that area. So about 10 seconds left. For this side,
Rest.
great. Now, gonna hit the other side, and that's it. You guys are doing awesome today.
1/2 kneeling adductor ankle mob.
Remember, I'm always thinking like, what's my start set position? I get there first. I can just hang out here and breathe if I need to. Then, once I have that set position established, that's when I can start adding the reaches, the nods. Still keeping my knee pointing out over my toes here. So what I don't want to see is that knee coming in like this. I'm still trying to keep it out over the middle of my foot in that set position. Whoo! Those big reaches are lighting me up. Three, two, one. Bing! All right. Time to test, retest. Felt like a lot of good movement for me. I hope it felt good for you. After being at the desk this morning and then having crazy sore hamstrings. So see how we did? Got the toes again. All right. So what we're seeing now after 3 weeks is that I started personally, everyone's different, right? But I started probably mid-shin, and now I've been doing this practice more consistently. Even on the stiff day, I'm about 3/4 of the way down the shin at the start. And then by the end of each session, I'm getting back to my toes. So I know that there's more function that I can create, and maybe some of my habits during the day of like slouching at the computer screen or whatever might be kind of offsetting that a little bit. So what I'm gonna be focused on for myself personally this next week is trying to put some of these stretches and reset movements in throughout my day to try to maintain some of that toe touch flexibility I've just developed now, and then hold on to that a little bit more as I go session from session. And hope that helps for you guys too. And as always, let me know if you have any questions. And until next time, take care, everyone.